Joe Garagiola. He is a man of many talents. He's played in the World Series, hosted the Today Show, filled in for Carson, interviewed the Beatles, and written 2 books. Now, what more could anyone want out of life? Please welcome to our studios, Joe Garagiola. How are you, Joe?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, this book is a success. Didn't you try to write one after your first one and fail?
Well, it failed to the extent that I was working with a writer, and it sounded more like him than it did me. You know, it's like using words, like in baseball, when I hear a former player broadcasting talking about the velocity of the pitcher. You know, when he was playing, he said, that guy can throw hard. Now, all of a sudden, he's a broadcaster, and he's got velocity. Or they used to have good control. Now he has location.
Oh, I'll be darned.
And that's the way that book was reading, and it wasn't me.
Did your daughter's involvement, Gina's involvement, help you bring out the real you?
She is the one who really did it, because she'd say, Daddy, you tell your little boy stories, tell your television stories and your baseball stories, and she got me to do that, and she's the one who edited it, because I wasn't too good in English, and I'm not an Ivy Leaguer. You probably recognize that, don't you? But anyhow, she was the one. I give her all the credit, because she's a beautiful gal, and she's going to make me grandpa again.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's great.
That's nice to work with someone you love in your family. Talk about the little boy stories. Growing up across the street from Yogi Berra. I mean, is that the reason why you're in baseball?
Not
you and Yogi
really.
played together, didn't you?
Oh, right across the street we live. I don't ever remember not knowing Yogi. And as I say in the book, you know, most guys, when they go to big leagues, hey, they're the best player in the neighborhood, they're the best player in high school, the best player this. I wasn't even the best player on the block. Yogi was. And he was our kind of our hero. And in fact, in the chapter, I talk about things that I haven't really said, because I think they've all underestimated Yogi. He's such a beautiful guy. In fact, when I left NBC, just to give you 2 quick incidents. First of all, when I had my robbery, okay, they took my World Series ring, and they took a crucifix. I had it from Bishop Sheen, which really hurt me. First call I get is Yogi. What do you think he says? Hey, Joey, you want one of my World Series rings?
Aww.
And then when I left NBC, I wrote my famous or infamous letter. First call I get is him. Doesn't say how you doing or anything. He says, hey, you want a job as a bullpen catcher? No, he's a beauty. In fact, I always enjoy being with him, and we just grew up as kids. We didn't think we were going to be ball players.
But you were a ball player. In fact, does the record still stand? 4 hits during the series that you got. You were a good hitter as well as being a catcher.
Well, at one game right here in Fenway Park.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you how exciting that was. Lou Brock did it in the World Series in the 60s, and Bob Addy announced that Lou Brock just tied a World Series record for 4 hits. But don't get too excited. Many have done it, including Joe Garagiola.
Were you, though, you were the youngest catcher?
Yes.
Is that a record that still holds?
The thing that hurts me about that, when you bring that up, is I had hair down to here. Oh, I mean, I could go to the barbershop and say, thin it out on top. Yeah. What a thrill. And I could wear a dark suit, and then guys would brush your shoulder and say, that's dandruff. You don't know what that is not to have that.
But you have capitalized on and done very, very well.
Well, first of all, you have to. I wrote a chapter on it because I get tired of reading these ads. Cure baldness. What is there to cure? There's nothing to cure.
You don't mind.
And all these dumb jokes like bald-headed men are sexy. You know who they're sexy to? Bald-headed women. That's who they're sexy to.
I disagree.
You think bald is beautiful? Take a look at this head. Bald is beautiful? If you're wearing a cap, it's beautiful. Are you kidding? Look at it.
I love in the book you say you comb that last strand of hair over your head till it looks like a varicose vein. You just keep on.
That's right. And you ever notice those guys, they got it right here, and they comb it here, and you whisper into their nose. You really do. It is
silly, isn't it?
And I love those guys like when they get a transplant or a tube, you know?
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm not against it, but when the wind blows, man, they have to walk into the wind, you know, or that sucker will blow right out.
Go to broadcasting. Explain the infamous letter. Why?
Well, the reason I did it, I'm not a guy who's going to whine and moan and groan. I had 27 great years. I thought they could have handled a little bit better. I'm not angry at anyone at NBC.
What'd they do wrong?
Well, for one thing, I thought the leadership at the top, namely Art Watson and Mike Weissman, could have showed a little tougher leadership. That disappointed me, because they said they were going to do things and they didn't do it. And if you ask me why, I'm not going to tell you, because I'm not going to make a laundry list. I simply wrote in and said, look, it's best that I just tell you I don't want to work at NBC in 1989. Because, Eileen, when they say things like they're going to grade me or they're going to evaluate me after the World Series, if we had a blowout in the World Series and it was a bad World Series, what chance would I have? And after 27 years?
Yeah.
Come
you think
on.
You want better treatment.
Well, not better treatment. You just say to yourself, you don't need to, I don't have to audition. There were days I went to NBC, I did the Today Show, did game shows, did the Tonight Show. They could have given me a key, say open up and lock up when you leave, you know?
You did what they asked of you. And
yeah, and then all of a sudden I'm reading these kind of things and I said, you know, maybe a lot of broadcasters think they're anointed. Not me, I'm hired. I think it's the game. I still think it's the game. I think there are more important problems than whether the Red Sox or the Cardinals or the Mets win. We've got bigger problems than that. Let's enjoy the game. I got an award, for example, for Mickey Mantle's 500th home run, okay? You know what I said when he hit it? It's gone. You can get 2 chimpanzees and work with them for 4 hours and say it's gone. So what's the award? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, except it's nice when someone isn't overly verbal. We get a little tired of that, too, don't we?
Well, but my point is that you had an event, Kirk Gibson's home run. How could you screw that up in the World Series? You couldn't.
No.
It was a very dramatic moment. And my point being that if you got a good game, you're going to look good. And NBC is saying they're going to evaluate me? Come on.
You are very involved with BAT, which is an organization that helps not only the Negro players, which is what the league was called, and also umpires. I mean, there are a lot of guys that haven't got 2 nickels to rub together.
Right. BAT means Baseball Alumni Team. There are a lot of guys, Branca, Rusty Staub, Bob Gibson, Bill White before he became president. What we do, we administer the money we get from the Equitable Old-Timer Games. And I'm telling you, we have fellas out there really hurting. And we changed our bylaws. It's not former major leaguers, it's baseball people. We have a woman, 41 years in a minor league office, who had an operation, a double mastectomy, hip replacement. Where was she going to go? She had no place to go. We have the saddest words that I've ever heard. A Yankee player that I know, and I just got the letter last week. He said, I need to get out of the house 2 days a week, 1 to shop and 1 to maintain my sanity. My wife has Alzheimer's, and these are sad words when you read, we have to diaper her. Oh, okay. Now, where's he going to go?
So, are you angry then with million dollar contracts? Is there
No, I'm not angry because I'm glad the players are getting them. I hope they're smart enough to save their money. What I wish they would do, and one of the things Ueberroth did, his legacy, is to remember these guys. Yeah. The black players you talk about that played in the old Negro leagues. We got a guy down in Texas. His water was turned off. No heat, no electricity. This is 1989. Get involved with the play. And ownership should do it. George Steinbrenner, who gets a lot of raps, okay? He's going to give us a game. Great. July 13, Yankees in Kansas City. He'll take out his expenses and give us the rest.
Great.
But let me just say this. It's not the money that's important. He's setting the precedent. I wish some of the owners would come forward. Let's not blame only the players. Where is ownership?
There's a lot of profit here in this game. Talk about 2 incidents very much in the news right now. Wade Boggs is the older of the 2. Pete Rose scandal is the newer. Talk about both of them.
Well, Wade Boggs, I can only... first of all, I'm not a religious nut, but I'm not going to cast that first stone. When that plane takes off for the big bullpen in the sky, I'm going to have my own problems getting in. So I'm not going to... Whatever Wade Boggs said or did is his. He has to be held responsible. I wish he would zip it up, though. Some of the things he's saying, like business tycoons do this, and it's a Hollywood lifestyle. I don't like that. And let me just, before I even talk about Rose, because I think Rose, Boggs, Garvey, and all baseball players fall in the same category. Whether they accept the responsibility or not, they are role models. Some of them will not accept it and deny it, but it's there. Pete Rose, I'm sad for his family. I really am. I do not believe that his young son had to call his agent to get a hold of him. I saw what love was between those two. I think it hurts them. And from a baseball fan standpoint, that Pete Rose will be remembered for this gambling is really sad. Garvey the same way, you know. Why, I don't know. But I guess when you do something, you yourself have to be held responsible.
Yeah, that's really the way it ought to be across the board. You get on and say, you had
a disease watching Geraldo Rivera?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty soon I'm going to get a pain here, and Geraldo's going to give me a prescription?
Well, if he does, would you call me and let me know? Are we going to see you back in broadcasting?
I hope, but not this year. I have no job.
No, but are you being wooed anywhere, maybe?
Not wooed.
Not wooed,
no. Nobody's wooing me. Nobody's calling me or anything. I'm available. I'm ready for game shows, talk shows.
Well, let me take you upstairs and introduce you to our general manager.
I can't move up here. I live in Arizona. I got to wait for my daughter to have the baby and all that. I'd like to do, I work for a local team. I wouldn't want to do 162 games, but a 50-game, 60-game schedule, I'd love it.
We'll miss you. You've got to be back on television.
I hope
You're so good at what you do, Joe.
Thank you.
And you're a good writer. It's anybody's ball game.
Gina,
And yes, Gina, Joe's daughter, and Joe. That's terrific. And it's so nice that you two work together.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Joe,
My
very
pleasure.
much.
Good.
Nice to
Enjoyed
meet
it.
you.